Venezuela, the accidental cryptocurrency revolution. She walked through the streets of Maracaibo at dawn, watching vendors prepare for the morning rush. Patricia Polio had covered economic crises across 3 decades, but Venezuela in 2023 presented something entirely unprecedented. Every transaction she witnessed challenged fundamental assumptions about how economies collapse and how they rebuild themselves. A coffee vendor scanned QR codes with practiced efficiency, accepting payments in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and digital dollars. A taxi driver calculated his fare using a cryptocurrency converter app. University students mined digital coins in their dormitories using subsidized electricity. This wasn't economic collapse. This was economic evolution happening in real time. But the world had been looking in the wrong direction, missing the most extraordinary monetary transformation of the 21st century. The problem wasn't that Venezuela had failed as a modern economy. The problem was that it had succeeded as something entirely new, the world's first cryptocurrency nation. Not by design, but by necessity. Not through government planning, but through popular adaptation. The collapse of the Bolivar hadn't destroyed Venezuela's economy. It had forced the birth of a post-fiat monetary system that economists had only theorized about. The Great Misunderstanding. When international observers analyze Venezuela, they see hyperinflation and conclude economic death. They measure the Bolivar's collapse and declare systemic failure. But they're using the wrong metrics, applying industrial age frameworks to a digital age transformation. The Bolivar's collapse wasn't the end of Venezuela's monetary system. It was the catalyst for its evolution into something unprecedented. Contrary to popular belief, hyperinflation in Venezuela didn't create economic collapse. It created economic innovation. When local currency becomes worthless, populations don't simply accept poverty. They innovate. They find alternatives. They create parallel systems. Venezuela's hyperinflation forced the most rapid monetary diversification in modern history. By 2020, Venezuelan businesses were accepting payments in over 15 different digital currencies. Street vendors used smartphone apps to calculate real-time exchange rates. Entire supply chains operated using decentralized payment systems. This wasn't economic chaos. It was the emergence of a multi-currency economy that operated with remarkable efficiency despite having no central coordination. The Bitcoin revolution. The story begins with electricity. Venezuela's hydroelectric system, built during the oil boom years, generated massive surpluses of subsidized power. When the economy collapsed, this surplus found an unexpected purpose: cryptocurrency mining. Young Venezuelans discovered they could earn more in a single day of Bitcoin mining than their parents earned in a month of traditional work. Carlos, a 23-year-old engineering student in Caracas, transformed his family's living room into a mining operation. 12 graphics cards hummed 24 hours a day, generating cryptocurrency that he immediately converted to dollars. His monthly earnings exceeded those of senior government officials. More importantly, his income was immune to government control, inflation, and currency devaluation. But mining was only the beginning. As Venezuelans accumulated cryptocurrency, they needed ways to spend it. Local businesses, desperate for stable currency, began accepting Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dash. Online platforms emerged to facilitate crypto-to-cash conversions. What started as an individual survival strategy became a national monetary system. The real issue is this: cryptocurrency adoption in Venezuela was pragmatic, not ideological. No one chose cryptocurrency because they believed in decentralization or blockchain technology. They chose it because it worked when everything else failed. It preserved purchasing power when the bolivar evaporated. It enabled commerce when traditional banking systems froze. It provided economic freedom when government control intensified. The digital dollar economy. While international headlines focused on Bitcoin mining, a parallel transformation was occurring through digital dollarization. Venezuelans didn't just abandon the bolivar for cryptocurrency, they abandoned it for digital dollars, digital euros, and digital assets of every description. Zelle, PayPal, and wire transfers became the backbone of Venezuelan commerce. Businesses quoted prices exclusively in dollars. Employees negotiated salaries in foreign currency. Real estate transactions occurred entirely through international banking systems. The believer became irrelevant, not just because of inflation, but because superior alternatives were immediately available. This presents a paradox. Venezuela's monetary system had never been more international. A country cut off from global financial systems had become more integrated with global currencies than most developed nations. Venezuelan smartphones processed payments in more international currencies than banks in New York or London. The implications were profound. Venezuela had achieved what economists call optimal currency areas, not through government policy, but through popular choice. Different sectors of the economy used different currencies based on practical efficiency. Technology workers earned in Bitcoin. Merchants traded in digital dollars. Rural farmers bartered in goods and services. Each sector optimized its monetary system for its specific needs. The government response. The Venezuelan government's response revealed the limits of monetary sovereignty in the digital age. Traditional government tools, currency controls, exchange rate manipulation, money printing, became irrelevant when the population had already moved to alternative systems. The government couldn't control currencies it didn't issue. It couldn't inflate assets it didn't create. Maduro's government initially attempted to suppress cryptocurrency use through raids and regulations, but enforcement proved impossible. How do you confiscate Bitcoin? How do you monitor Ethereum transactions? How do you control Zelle transfers processed through servers in other countries? The decentralized nature of digital currencies made them effectively immune to government interference. Eventually, the government reversed course entirely. It began accepting cryptocurrency for official transactions. It launched its own digital currency, the petro. It legalized Bitcoin mining and started taxing crypto transactions. The government that had initially tried to ban cryptocurrency ended up embracing it more fully than most developed nations. Contrary to expectations, Venezuela couldn't ban cryptocurrency because the people had already adopted unstoppable alternatives. This wasn't government-led monetary policy. This was popular monetary revolution that forced government adaptation. The social transformation beyond economics, Venezuela's cryptocurrency adoption created unexpected social changes. Young people who understood digital currencies suddenly possessed valuable skills that their parents' generation lacked. Traditional hierarchies based on age and formal education were disrupted by technological literacy. Maria, a 19-year-old high school graduate, became her family's primary breadwinner through cryptocurrency trading. Her father, Yusother, a former bank manager, had to learn digital currency basics from his daughter. Knowledge flowed upward from digital natives to their parents, reversing traditional patterns of economic authority. Women, particularly, benefited from cryptocurrency's accessibility. Traditional banking had often excluded women through bureaucratic barriers and male-dominated institutional structures. Cryptocurrency required only internet access and a smartphone, tools that women used as frequently as men. Many Venezuelan women became cryptocurrency entrepreneurs, earning independent income for the first time in their lives. The global implications. Venezuela's cryptocurrency transformation revealed fundamental truths about monetary systems that economists had long debated theoretically. It demonstrated that currency adoption is ultimately voluntary. It showed that technological alternatives can rapidly replace failing institutions. It proved that monetary sovereignty depends more on popular acceptance than government decree. Other nations facing currency crises began studying the Venezuelan model. Turkey, Argentina, and Lebanon all experienced increased cryptocurrency adoption following similar patterns. Venezuela hadn't just solved its own monetary problems, it had created a template for post-fiat monetary systems that other countries could adapt. Central banks worldwide took notice. The same institutions that had initially dismissed cryptocurrency as irrelevant began developing their own digital currencies. They realized that if they didn't provide stable digital money, their populations might choose alternatives beyond their control, just as Venezuelans had done. The real revolution, Venezuela's story, isn't ultimately about cryptocurrency. It's about human adaptability. When existing institutions failed, the population created new ones. When government currency became worthless, they chose alternatives. When traditional systems broke down, they built digital replacements. This is the real revolution. The Venezuelan people refused to become passive victims of economic collapse and instead produced active solutions. They didn't wait for government rescue or international intervention. They rescued themselves through technological innovation and entrepreneurial creativity. The world had expected to witness Venezuela's economic death. Instead, it witnessed Venezuela's economic rebirth. The nation that supposedly failed at modern economics succeeded at postmodern economics. The country that couldn't manage its own currency helped pioneer the global transition to digital money. Venezuela's cryptocurrency nation status wasn't planned by visionaries or engineered by experts. It emerged from necessity, desperation, and the refusal to accept economic defeat. In trying to survive hyperinflation, Venezuelans accidentally built the future of money. And that future is still being written, one digital transaction at a time.